Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Wrong? And it's by user LifeIsHard167. Am I wrong for not wanting to invite a friend and her family to a group cottage trip? Last summer, my friends and I planned a group cottage trip for the 1st of July celebrations. One of our friends has 5 kids, while the rest of us either has 1 or 2 kids or no kids. There are 4 families. Last summer, our friend with 5 kids basically dumped her kids on the rest of us to watch. Her husband basically ditched her and his kids to drink with the men and join activities. One incident of this happening was when my husband and I arranged for him to get some time with the guys while I planned an intentional hike or scavenger hunt through the woods with my 2 little ones. My one friend with the 5 kids heard about it and asked if her 5 kids could join me while she could take a quick nap and then she would come get them later. I wanted to say no, but then she already told her kids about it and they were excited to go, so I didn't want to say no to them. Well, she never joined us later. I couldn't handle all 7 kids, especially with her kids being super energetic. And then I got back to see her chilling with the men. When I asked her why she didn't come to get them, she said she got distracted and forgot. My other friends were saying how because she is more my friend, that I should not invite her this year. They also don't want to spend this year's cottage trip babysitting or breaking up fights among her kids. On the weekend, my friend with 5 kids was asking me if I had booked the cottage yet. I haven't because I want to talk to her first. Would I be the a-hole if I told her to make sure if she plans to go to not dump her kids on others? Or would I be wrong to not invite her? What should I do instead? I am open to suggestions. Well, Opie, first of all, I'm sorry, but I'm calling BS on your friend for getting her 5 kids. I think she sees this as her little time away from her kids. I don't know, but I'm guessing that her husband doesn't help much around with the kids if he ditched them as soon as they got to the holiday house. And having 5 kids must be overwhelming, so I'm guessing your friend is very stressed out and she's using this time to get away from it. However, that does not give her the right to dump her kids on everybody else. So in my opinion, you are the one that needs to have the difficult conversation with this friend because apparently she is more friends with you than everybody else, and tell her that nobody wants to be looking after her kids. If she chooses to go on the holiday, then everybody is responsible for their own kids. Either that, or unfortunately they won't be able to come because nobody wants to babysit her kids, and that's it. Of course she's gonna try to fight you, guilt you, tell you some sob story about how difficult her life is, but again, that is not your problem. This is her family, her husband and her need to deal with it. Then you give her a date by the time you need to book the cottage, and if she hasn't replied, then she just doesn't go. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? How would you go about it? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Confused at 63 says, just be honest, she knows what she is doing. She is doing it. I get that she needs some social time in her life, but not at the expense of everyone else around. If she can't maintain her kids, then she shouldn't be invited. You don't need to give her a chance. She already had one and showed you. She forgot about her 5 kids. Really? She was outright taking advantage of the situation. Be honest. She isn't really your friend. A friend would not do that to you or to a group of others. You are better off without this friendship. Jew Wolfie says she will dump her kids on you again. You should tell her she is not invited this year. Quote, hi friend, unfortunately we don't have room this year for you and your family. End quote. Or, quote, hi friend, unfortunately I cannot take on extra childcare duties this vacation, and you and your spouse have proven that you will say one thing and do another when it comes to your kids. Your behavior last time made it so I couldn't enjoy the vacation, and I am determined to enjoy this one. We can discuss what plans for next year look like, but this year I am devoting to my family. Read the book I Feel Guilty When I Say No. I too am a people pleaser, and this book has helped me tremendously. And Morbid Nerd says, you're not wrong. When you have 5 kids, you need to accept that you aren't getting invited to everything. There is a massive difference between 2 kids and 5 kids. Unfortunately, there's no nice way to tell someone that their kids were a burden if they lack the social awareness to see it for themselves. If you're honest, there's a solid chance she gets in her feelings about it. If you lie, she's definitely going to be upset. So I'd go with the truth. Friend, last time you came out to the cabin, your husband ditched your children and you had trouble keeping up with them. No one wants to take a vacation where they babysit 5 extra kids. Additional information from OP's comments. There were definitely other situations, but I don't know if they were all intentional and too many to explain and list. One other big example, we were all playing board games as a group with the kids, and then some of the dads left to set up the bonfire. Every mom leaves, including me, with their kids to get them in their PJs, except the 5-kid friend. She instead tells them to put the games away and follow the other moms to get their PJs on. She then leaves to go. I don't know where, except we were not aware that she wanted them to go with us. My only non-kid mom friend later walks into the cottage to find the kids eating marshmallows and getting chocolate syrup on the board games and stuff. She asks them where their mom is and they of course don't know, so she is left to clean up their mess. My other friend sees her cleaning up by herself, helps her, then asks the boys to clean themselves up. The boys are 4, 5, and 8. They refuse and act up. My friend gets annoyed and tells me about it. So I go to find the 5-kid friend and tell her what happened, and then she gets mad at her boys for not following us to get their PJs on. I tell her in a non-confrontational way that we are super busy with our kids too and the bonfire to help her boys. She says that they know how to change into PJs by themselves and it wouldn't require us to do much, that she was busy with the bonfire stuff and just wanted to help out, that her boys are independent. I get that it can be tough with 5 kids, and to be honest, I've never liked her husband. He is old school and believes women should be the ones responsible for the kids. He is apparently her pastor too. It makes me sad to be one more person telling her she is not wanted around in her already hard life. Okay, well, the community was trying to reinforce to OP that she is not responsible for other people's kids and that she should make her friend responsible or simply not invite her. And OP's additional content just clarifies that OP does need to have this conversation with her friend. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. We were talking on the phone and I brought up the cottage trip. I told her, I was wondering if you wanted to plan together another fun activity we can do this summer, just your family and mine. Maybe a bonfire at the beach in August, because it was a little more work with the extra kids last year at the cottage. She was open to it, but thought I wanted to cancel the whole trip. When I told her I was still planning to go with the other families, she was confused. She said Muskoka, where we are going, was the highlight of her kids' summer last year, and they were excited to go again. Her kids will be so disappointed. I apologized and told her how last year it was a little hard. I explained why it was hard and gave her a few examples of what happened last year, and she didn't view those situations the way my other friends and I did. For example, with the scavenger hunt one, she said she honestly forgot and didn't understand the big deal if my kids were also having fun. I told her the big deal was that I didn't have fun and it took time away from me spending it with just my kids. She said, "What's the point of a group vacation if everyone is doing their own thing?" I told her that coming together to do bonfires, barbecues and stuff is fun, but we also come up here to spend time with our individual families, and all of us chipping in towards a nice cottage allows us to do that. She then went into a rant about how different she and I are because she believes that if all the children had fun at the end of the day, that's what she really cares about most. When you decide to have kids, you give away your freedom for your children and everything becomes about them. Coming from the person who dropped their kids on her friends, wow, the hypocrisy is dripping in that comment. Our conversation wasn't going anywhere really, so I told her that I just don't want to have to think about multiple children on a vacation. I told her the only children I want to think about are mine. I also don't think it's fair for my other friends to have to keep an eye on her kids when that's not what they planned to do. Next thing she says is that she understands and didn't mean to put her kids on us, but it's hard. Also, with her husband not helping, how she deals with her kids every single minute of the day, and the one week in the summer where she wants to relax a little, the world does not let her. She continued saying if she is drowning and asking for a lifeline and no one helps, then what is she supposed to do? She knows it's no one's fault but her own, but she wishes she could meet someone who could selflessly help once in a while because that's what she would do if she saw someone in her situation. Then she goes into another rant of all the ways she's helped people despite her situation. I say I sympathize with her, but that unfortunately I cannot be that person for you because I have to put my family's needs first. That I will never be the person that will let my family suffer even for a little while for the sake of wanting to help someone else. I asked her if hiring a nanny for the week on the trip was possible to help relieve some of the stress. That's when she got mad and said that I'm just like everyone else who will never understand and hung up on me. Later, she sent me a text saying, I just want to say that I am not mad that we are not going. It's more so the fact that you already decided that you don't want me there without giving me the chance to come up with a solution. It's clear that you see my kids and I as a burden. It hurts that all this while you claim to be my friend and want to be there for me, but then ditch me after you built up my hope for a friendship. Then it continued, suggesting me finding a nanny is crazy. You know that I couldn't afford that. Those who've had an easy life will never understand, and it's like they say, no one really cares. Enjoy your trip. I have a lot to think about. I didn't do my annoying voice because the message was really long, and also eye-rolling while reading was kind of hard. I haven't responded, and I don't plan to. I just feel as if everything I have done for her is not appreciated. I have been the listening ear for her to vent to. I've invited her family over lots of times for dinners. My husband helped drive her and her husband around a few times when they didn't have a car. I got my friends on board with letting her not pay her share for the cottage booking and had her only chip in for food. She also knows that my life has not been the easiest. I don't think she even realizes how toxic she is becoming. She goes on and on about stuff that contradict each other, and I'm starting to realize that now. She's just as much exhausting as her children. My last wish for her as her former friend is that she learns to stand up to her husband. All this resentment is not good for her. Anyway, I booked the cottage now and I am excited for the upcoming trip with my other friends. Well, good for you, OP, for standing up to your friend. All of that rant about her victimizing and how nobody understands and all that. Yeah, life is hard. Ask Rocky. He's got a whole great speech about it. Anyways, OP, back to you. I hope you enjoy your holiday with your friends and have a good time. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Throwaway174939. Would I be the a-hole if I break up with my girlfriend because she won't have sex with me due to trauma? So, my girlfriend and I have been together for 6 months now. We were dating for another 3. Early in dating, she said that she will only have sex in a committed relationship. I told her that's fine. Fast forward a few months and we are in a committed relationship. I asked her if she felt ready, but she said no. We've made out plenty of times, and she always stops before we go further and says, sorry, I'm not ready yet. Basically, we haven't had sex in our entire 6 months history. She has pushed me away anytime I try. Recently, I asked her why she always pushes me away, and she admitted that she has some trauma with sexual assault. We had a long conversation about this, and she says she doesn't know if she even wants to ever have sex. I want to be understanding, and I get it's not her fault, but I just don't know if I can handle being in a sexless relationship. Well, OP, first of all, I'm sorry that your girlfriend had to go through that. That's not right. But I understand that she having a trauma with it can't get to being intimate with you. And like you say, of course it is not her fault, but you shouldn't be expected to stay in a relationship in which you are incompatible. Look, OP, you didn't mention it, and I don't know if your girlfriend is getting help for what she went through or not, but I don't think she should be in a relationship. She should be working on herself. I think you need to be honest with her, OP. You can tell her that you feel you're incompatible and that it's best if you guys go your separate ways. There's nothing wrong with that. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. AidenJax69 says, not the a-hole. That's a hell of a jump from only have sex in a committed relationship to trauma from sexual assault and may never have sex again. You can break up with someone for any reason, and honestly, no sexual chemistry or no sex in general is a reasonable reason to break up with someone. Virtual Persimom 447 says, no a-holes here. There's a huge difference between committed relationship and maybe never. It is worth noting that when she told you a committed relationship, she may very well have meant that. I wouldn't necessarily assume she was lying or anything because that may have been her thoughts at the time. Now that she's in a committed relationship, she realized she still isn't ready, and that's okay. Sex is an important aspect of a relationship, and if you decide to leave, you wouldn't be the a-hole in this case. You've been patient and you've respected her boundaries. It sounds like she just isn't ready for a relationship that involves sex right now. That's okay, but it's also okay to recognize that's an important part for you and walk away if that isn't getting fulfilled. And Comprehensive Car 190 says, just don't threaten to break up with her to force her to do it. Just do it. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm 28, she's 24. I've only really tried like 3 times, and each time she started kissing me and touched my chest. When I touched her arm or leg, she then told me she's not ready yet. When I say pushes me away, I don't mean she literally shoves me. She simply grabs my hand and pulls it away and said, not yet, I'm sorry. I am in a relationship without sex right now. My problem is that this may turn into the whole relationship. I don't want to spend the rest of my life celibate. No, non-monogamy is not an option to me, by the way. Finally, I don't know if I have any right to suggest therapy. I'm probably not the first person who suggested it to her, or she thought of it herself. Well, the majority of the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that he should just go ahead and break up. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I broke up with her. I appreciate a lot of your comments and support. To clarify a few things, I'm not mad at her for moving the goalposts. My now ex is a good person, and I don't think she is doing this out of any malice or anything like that. She hasn't been going to therapy, and I did end up suggesting it, but I still broke up with her. You see, some comments got me thinking that even if she goes to therapy, it doesn't mean she will ever truly open up sexually. Therapy should be for her sake and discover her own way of viewing sex, not to be able to have sex with me. The reality of staying with her is that maybe we'll never have sex, and as much as it pains me to leave her, I don't want to give up sex for the rest of my life. And no, non-monogamy is not going to work for me, even if my ex would be okay with it. The breakup was harsh because she begged me to stay a bit longer and that she'd be willing to try. When I told her my mind was made up, she actually said she could have sex right there and then. I wanted to cry so much, but I told her that it wasn't healthy to think this way. We calmed down, and while she was still crying, she accepted it. In our talk, I did mention she should go see a therapist for her own sake. I don't know if we can be friends, but I do know we need some distance at the very least. I know this is for the best, but it still hurts. I do appreciate you all for your support. Well, OP, I know it's not a happy update because, well, you both are very sad, but I think it is a positive update and all the right decisions were made. Going your separate ways due to your incompatibility and you not taking up her offer. Hopefully she does get the help that she needs. And for you, OP, well, here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.